Welcome everyone to another Sandpile. This week we are going to discuss using liquid markup, and specifically for the shopping cart layout. But this does evolve inevitably into using liquid markup for e-commerce related functionality. I'm very pleased to welcome two panelists that we have today. Ricardo Alves from EFX Pro Media. And he has a couple of very cool apps in the BC App Store related to shopping carts, which I'll show a little bit later. And we also have Daniel Telfer from Digital Fuel. Daniel has created a couple of really great intro level and intermediate level tutorial series on BC Gurus for liquid-based shopping carts. And in fact, I liked what he did so much that we took that code, and that's the shopping cart now that is in BC Gurus templates for the last couple of years now. We just liked what he did so much. We how do you say, we bought the company, as they say. I took that virtually the same code, put it in the templates, and it just works fabulously. So it's great to have a couple panelists with us today. So first, I'd just like to go through a little bit of BC community news. And in the App Store, do I have the App Store? So in the App Store this week, Scott Reynolds from Thrize is going to be releasing his foundation form layout app. And that's a very cool app that takes a BC table-based form and converts it to the foundation framework layout with a ton of options that will make creating your form super easy. I've been working with Scott while he builds the app and trying to integrate that into the BC Gurus template. So in fact, the next template we release is going to have a preview version of that app built into it. So I'll basically use the app to build the forms. You don't have to continue with that, but if you do and you buy the app, it just connects and continues working. So I'm really excited about that. Scott's not on the call by the looks of it, but that'll be coming out this week. Speaking of BC Gurus templates, the next one to be released near the end of this month is an e-commerce focused site, and that's why we thought it's appropriate for Liquid Shopping Cart today. This is something the community has been asking for, and we're trying to include as much of the interesting techniques and updated functionality as possible within the constraints of time and budget, obviously, but so far it's looking really good. And then over on BC Academy, this week Scott Scheffler will be releasing his favorite liquid snippets and team sharing code snippets. So these snippets would include some of the snippets that we often use in our projects, this Chicago Digital projects, and even some hidden markup, liquid markup that might not be well documented, or maybe liquid markup code that is documented but often can be confusing. So he's gonna go through those widgets and details and just try and help you advance your level of knowledge in liquid markup. He's also going to share a tool that our development team uses to speed up development and to share code snippets among our team members. So when I need to do something that I know has been done before, I just go to this tool and I pull that little snippet and I carry on. And finally, big news, next week is Adobe Max. So hopefully we're going to see you there. But if you're not able to make it, there are a couple of ways you can get connected and see what goes on. So Adobe is going to live stream the whole BC portion of the conference on Tuesday. Although it's going to be just audio and screen share only. So you can read about that if you go to Sandpile to meetings, and if you look on the side here, there's this BC pre-conference at Adobe Max 2017. And if you click on that, there's the link for my.adobeconnect.com BC partners. That's where they're going to set up the Connect session. Again, audio and screen share only, but that'll be good. If you're in Australia, Pretty and CBO are going to have a special viewing of the event in Sydney, Australia. There's also a link for more information about that. So that starts at 2 p.m. Mountain Time is when this section of the conference starts next Tuesday. So if you connect for that, that's great. Now at about 5:15, it's going to move into a Q&A session. And at that point, Mike Salander has told me that he's going to live stream the Q&A session on the Sandpile Facebook page. So if you look at my screen here, Sandpile on Facebook, and even where we're live streaming, he's going to live stream the Q&A session. So if you're looking to get more of a visual feel for what goes on at the conference and maybe meet some of the members of the Adobe team and perhaps some other partners, you might want to switch over from the Adobe Connect session onto the Facebook live stream there. And even you might want to connect and add that to your page, because as the conference goes on, Mike is, and opportunities present themselves, Mike is going to live stream interviews or other interesting things that go on at the conference. So that is the news. I will say if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, or preferably into the Q&A panel if you have that open. I'm going to try and watch both of those. So if you have questions for myself or for our panelists or just in general, go ahead and put them in there. So now we get to liquid shopping carts. And why do we need them? Well, the biggest thing is it's kind of like table-based output, and it's not really table-based, but it's kind of like table-based. So I did bring up, this is an older template, the Haymaker, I believe, and I threw some stuff in the cart there. And if I get to the developer console, if I hover over the product title column, you can see that that whole column is selected in blue. And if I highlight over the product image, the whole column. So when BC outputs their shopping cart items, it outputs everything in this column, then it outputs everything in this column, and everything in this column. And what ends up happening is you have to use percentages for the column widths, and you have to use specific heights for the cells. So if I go to, here's an instance, this product item cell, you can see that this has a height set of 115 pixels. Well, what if I don't want 115 pixels? Then you kind of have to, your whole cart has to be 115 pixels. It's just really not very flexible. It's also not really very responsive. In the end, it is table-based. I mean, it's not bad. They've done not a bad job of making it responsive, but it's really not the way a lot of our clients are expecting them these days. And then finally, access to the shopping cart. There, just with the module tags, there's just not much you can do to access items in the shopping cart. Some of the more advanced templates will have a little shopping cart button, and you can click, hover, and just get an idea, but it's nowhere near as flexible as it can be with Liquid. As a for instance, so we have this UST site. I've added a couple of items in the cart. With a little bit of Liquid, we have a nice flyout menu with a cart summary. And that's much easier with Liquid Markup. When I go to the cart, I get a much different view of the cart. So this is obviously a custom cart, but this is possible or made achievable through the use of Liquid Markup. You can see we have the items on the left here. We have more of a stacked view, and this, of course, is very responsive as well. Things just start to stack up nicely. The images adjust. It's just way more easier to adapt. So that's really the bulk of the reason why we might want to use Liquid Markup. So I do just want to go through some of the resources here. On BC Gurus, this is Daniel Telfer's biography. He's done a bunch of tutorials for us. And you can see Express Shopper, another really cool tool. Shopping cart with Liquid level 1, shopping cart with Liquid part 2, even some unlimited product layouts with Liquid. So he's done a lot of work for BC Gurus, and it's a great resource if you're trying to learn how to use Liquid Markup. Shopping cart Liquid with intro, and then the part 2. This is over on the BC Academy side. We have a business catalyst, also a responsive shopping cart with Liquid. So that tells you really how this particular shopping cart was made, and that's Scott Scheffler's version of a Liquid shopping cart. So you can see that they're both very different, I guess is what I would say. Let me just get to did I open the cart up here? I think I did. Yeah, you can see here, this, while it looks very similar to the standard BC cart, this is actually Liquid-based shopping cart, much more responsive, really more adaptive, and quite simple to work with. So this is Daniel's version of the Liquid shopping cart. Let me carry through here. Over in the Academy again, we got the e-commerce shopping cart tweaks. Off-canvas shopping cart, that shows you largely how this on the cart, so I can't look at it there. Come on. So that tutorial will show you largely how this off-canvas works. And then quickly, I'll show Ricardo's app called Cart Assistant Pro. So this is on the App Store, and there's 2 versions on there. This is the Pro version. Really cool app. Does Cart Monitor, Cart Hero, Cart Message, Cart Redirect, Cart Identifier. Really interesting stuff. And for any of your clients that want this higher level shopping cart experience, this is a great tool for that. If we have a few minutes, I'll get to Ricardo to speak a bit more about that. think we covered Adobe Max, and we covered that, and we covered that. So I wondered if, with the panelists there, maybe I'll go with Ricardo first. Ricardo, in your experience, what got you looking at liquid-based or a higher level shopping cart versus what BC was offering?
Basically, liquid is a great way of displaying products. I would say, like you mentioned there, the table layout that comes as standard in BC is quite not ideal for any case scenario. But if you would get any liquid format, you can basically structure it in a way that everything can arrange there and make it very visible and easy for the user to choose the products and see in detail the separate products, and for us as well, in order to integrate any further functionality or update any percentages in costs. For example, taxation sometimes becomes something very, very tricky to work with, the templates that BC provides there. So in order to calculate percentages on taxations and show the costs correctly, Liquid, I think, is the best one as well. And when using multi-currency websites as well, it becomes quite essential to use Liquid in order to output content based on what you have in your cart. So the examples that you showed me there, like using mini carts, basically the mini carts are the best actually idea ever. So a person that uses the website can see right away that's the view cart button there. You can proceed with your checkout. You can change the increments of the quantities of the products right on the page there. And you see in the images as well, the cost, you're able to remove. So this kind of user interactivity there helps a lot on faster shopping experience. This is what matters nowadays. You want to give a very good experience for your users and maximize the utility of having a mini cart and process an order within 5 minutes. And this is one of the things that I brought up using my app as well. And for example, the cart monitor. The cart monitor was generally created based on what's the idea of knowing what people have in the cart and knowing if it's a good product or not, if people are really putting it in the cart, and if they're buying it or not. So basically the cart monitor, and if you go just a little bit above there, Dave, and show a screenshot of the cart monitor, the first image on the top there. So basically, if you look at the left column there, you've got your cart session showing that's the session that BC creates for your cart. And I was able to identify these carts and create a JavaScript and some Liquid output there to generate and collect all these carts within the site.
Okay. And a lot of this, I mean, some of this is back-end app stuff, but a lot of this, the client-facing side, you're using Liquid Markup to present this to customers, right? This end of things. Is that correct? Uh-oh. I think he's frozen. So there's a bit of a combination here where you're using Liquid Markup for the client side experience, and then of course there's the app language that's needed for the back end. But this kind of thing was just not possible a few years back. And maybe while we're getting Ricardo straightened out, I'm going to move to Daniel there. If you want to, he's jumped out and he'll come back in again. So Daniel, besides, I think it was a couple of years ago, maybe a bit longer, and you and I were talking. I was managing the BC Gurus website at the time, and I was looking for tutorials, and you happened to be working on the shopping cart, and I cajoled and convinced you to create a video series for us on that platform. But maybe you could speak about what brought you to working with Liquid Markup for the shopping cart.
Necessity, really. And, seeing things that I wanted to do that weren't always, weren't possible, but there was always a whole lot of workarounds for them. And I really enjoyed the new Liquid when it came on board. So I quite enjoyed sitting there playing with Liquid and trying to see what I could get it to do, pretty much. And I think that's what it's all about, is just, finding something that you want to do, and then working until you get it done, pretty much. I'm not the best coder in the world. Basically, I have a problem, and then I just, work to try to fix that. And Liquid did a whole lot of stuff that meant that I could do stuff without using JavaScript hacks and things like that, which the JavaScript side of it I'm probably not as good at anyway. So Liquid's really kind of a forte for me, I suppose. It's quite new, and I've picked the language up since it sort of came to BC. So that's pretty much what got me involved in it. But a client wants something, and you try and make that happen however you can. And I mean, I suppose that there'll be heaps of partners out there as well, and people that there's been something you've wanted to do, and you've just got to keep working at it until you get it to do, because once you promise something, it's hard to kind of trill out. And I tend to have a bit of a problem there. I tend to go, yep, I can do that, and then figure it out later on.
Yeah. So, I'm with you on that. I guess that's one of the biggest advantages with Liquid here. It's almost, if you can dream it, you can you can make it happen. And that's been the huge oyster that's been open for us when we look at Liquid Markup for some of the tools that we're after. You spoke about the whole JavaScript jQuery, and I think something that gets overlooked. I've done a fair bit of jQuery stuff in the cart, and invariably we run into issues where someone figures out how to bypass it, or you don't consider, if someone's standing on their left foot holding their finger in their ear while they touch their nose, suddenly they get free shipping. And that's the kind of stuff that can happen with jQuery, where with Liquid Markup, because it's being affected on the server, it never hits the desktop. So you're not as stuck with worrying about what browser they have, or what, do they turn jQuery off or JavaScript off, and those kind of things. I think you have a lot more control over the output. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I think that on the same, like JavaScript on the checkout, it's fraught with all sorts of dangers, really. So the less we can have of that, the better. Liquid's fast. It's pretty simple to pick up, I think. Get your hands dirty, get in there, start writing some Liquid, and then just, I would just say to people, you need to have a need and a desire to do something, really. Like I say, I'm self-taught coding. I'm a graphic designer by trade. I just started doing websites for people because I kind of could, and then progress from there. So it's not about having the maddest skills in the world. It's just about having a need, a desire, and just working at it until you get it. And Liquid's probably one of the easiest. It's fairly easy to pick up. Everything's cascading, kind of like CSS, so you don't have to worry, like with JavaScript, about where things position so much. They get done in the order that you put them in. So yeah, Liquid it just really does solve a whole lot of problems. And one of the other tutorials that I just did was about what was it about? It was about
forms, wasn't it?
The capture. Using BC, using Liquid, and that there, and what that means is also that we can actually perform stuff server side on an Ajax call, and lock that off so that no one can actually have access to that. So I used it to perform a BC version of capture, which basically just means that we don't have to have capture on the page. It works fairly well. I mean, there's always room for it not to, but with combining Ajax and a bit of JavaScript and Liquid together, like Dave said, the world is really your oyster. Like it just, you know, pretty much anything can be done. There's a few small things that, you know, it would be great that BC gave us access to, but for the most part, if you can, like Dave says, if you can dream it, then you can. There's a way around.
Yeah, like even this output, you could, when it's outputting this shopping cart, you could even say, hey, if they've got a brown T-shirt in their cart, offer them this other product. And that becomes super easy with Liquid compared to trying to figure out if they have that in the cart with jQuery and then figuring out how to offer this other offer and inject the code. Like Daniel said, the Liquid is sequential. So as it's outputting this, you can say if T-shirt equal brown, give them this offer on that line, rather than waiting for the cart to render, using jQuery to access that section of the cart and saying, looking for that item. And if it's there now, I got to insert this with jQuery somehow. It's so much easier with Liquid, in my opinion. So Ricardo, welcome back. I hope you didn't fall off the end of the world there and break the leg.
Apparently in Scotland we're experiencing here some gale force winds, and I think my internet provider just got off, and I'm using my mobile data.
Wow. Well, thank you for coming back on with that. I hope that doesn't get too expensive for you.
No, it's on a data.
So we kind of carried on a little bit more, just kind of talking about how we come around to using Liquid for a shopping cart versus some of the jQuery solutions and JavaScript solutions. And I'm not saying that there's not times where you have to use jQuery and JavaScript, but some of the things that our customers want are just simpler to implement with Liquid Markup. So we kind of left you. I think I got you onto this page, and what I really was trying to get at was you're using a combination here. You're using Liquid for the output on the page, and then you're of course using whatever you need to use to have the app output on the admin side of the app.
Oh yeah, certainly. In this case here, the text, it loops through all the cart products that the person currently in the admin system, and it compares. So basically, in this case, if you see there's 2 users have this item in the cart right now. It basically detects that the product is already in the system, in the server, it listed to be purchased, and if in that way, it will show the message saying that there's a quantity of people having the same cart having the same product in the cart at the same time. And again, the alert that you see there, we recently sold 226 of this product. This is already looping through the entire system orders and identifying how many of these products has been sold in a period of time that is specified within the app. Then you can customize the message as well, the way I showed it there. The idea is basically to boost the sales of a product and enhance it in a certain way that will help people selling products a lot quicker. It's quite common to see these kind of features on websites that they'll have lots of items and they want to make a clearance of their item, or they want to maybe feature an item that sells a lot. So I think this feature added there and quite made some significant improvement to sales right away as soon as I did that. I think it just shows that the product is something busy, it's something popular, and goes out very quickly.
So with what I hear you saying is with some Liquid code. Now, granted, this is in your app, and I mean, if it's my site, I'm just buying the app. But with some Liquid code, you've got a shopping cart here with a much higher conversion rate than just a standard BC shopping cart, simply by going out and querying how many other people bought this product and creating a sense of urgency around that. And maybe, I mean, you've already sold 226 of this. That helps people understand that hey, lots of people are buying this. Maybe it's a scarcity thing where you look at the stock and you put a different message at different levels of stock. If there's 5 left or 3 left or only 1 left, and those kinds of things. So what I hear you saying is tools like this, and they're built with Liquid Markup, can significantly increase your conversion rates.
Yeah, and again, the way the Liquid works there is that it pulls right away from the database of the entire server that the website is running on, and displays that information there based on exact information that it is. And for example, like you said there, if the product is running low, you can specify within the app what kind of message you want to show if the product is in low threshold of quantity. So let's say if this product there has, for example, like 3 remaining, you could simply alert in red there saying that there's 2 people already purchasing this product and there's only 3 left.
Yeah.
So
get one now.
I'll get it now before it goes out. So it's a time of, you know, making the difference here between grabbing that user and making that sale happen here rather than let him go elsewhere and chase something else, you know.
You could even, like, you got a green add to cart button. You could even go as far as maybe to make that red if it's certain conditions apply, and you know, or apply a class to it that makes it flash or something. Not that I would want to do that necessarily, but you know,
you
go ahead.
Further use the app if for developers. I think if you look at the app integration there, you can possibly extend that kind of functionality there. Like you said there, you're able to, you know, put an animation there, a CSS animation saying that the button is red if it has been detected the other thresholds there. And this is a part of the cart hero. So basically when customer saves their cart, and they've got this template, which is also responsive, a responsive template showing that the product that they saved and the quantity, the date when it was saved. If they want to just continue the order, just click on the green button there, or delete this cart, or share by email. If you're in a mobile, that's going to provide you the share by email, by SMS, or WhatsApp, which is a popular mobile application for chatting.
So this is, I mean, there's some liquid involved in this. I guess as a percentage, how much of this would be jQuery JavaScript versus liquid and BC Next, if you want to use those terms, module data?
Now, looking at this one here is completely liquid markup, this template there. And I do also provide a template there on the documentation that you can create your own custom template using the parameters that I created. So you can create your own layout using the same functionality and parameters that you see there.
And this is super cool to me, to let people save a cart and then come back to it later. And I'm assuming that you could even set up some kind of an email campaign where, you know, it emails them on an expired cart maybe, or maybe you have to kick it off manually, but you can bring them back to this page.
The cart expiry that it shows there is basically specified. It's connected with you have to specify that when you're setting up your cart hero. So basically when you're setting up your cart hero expiry time, you're going to connect that to your life cart of to your cart life within the shopping settings. So basically both of them synchronize at the same time, because at the same time, if you're not timing together the shopping cart and cart hero, what's going to happen is that the user is going to try and purchase these here, and that's not going to be existing anymore in the server.
Yeah. But this, to me, it's just super cool that this is available just largely through Liquid. Nice.
If you go back a few screenshots, you can see what the admin sees. I think is the second screenshot. Yeah, that one. So that's what the admin sees. What you've seen there previously is what the user sees, and this is what the admin sees. So you can choose or to delete this card. If you feel that this is a not necessary card, you can go ahead and just delete that, or you can mail directly the customer with an offer. So that's going to trigger your mail service. Like if you have a Gmail, that's going to open automatically with the card, with the person's name, the card amount, and things like that, and a card link for the person to proceed with the order.
So with a little bit of active cart management, again, you increase your conversion. So I mean, obviously, someone has to look through these things, but it's super simple here by the looks of it.
Yeah, if you're basically able to engage your customers at the beginning of the site, saying like, oh, log in for better options and things like that. So as soon as the person logs in and they have some cart saved to their cart, necessarily they don't have to go and click save the cart. Cart here is saving automatically whenever whatever you do with the cart in your system there, cart here is saving the cart automatically for you. So let's say if you're trying to leave the site, the cart here is going to save that cart for you. If you try and close the browser, that's going to automatically save it for you, just in case if you come back, but it's going to be saved to your account. And Cart Hero as well has a new functionality, which is the cart push notifications. So I think it's one of the last pages there. Not this. Oh, that's the Cart Hero basically. If you go back there again. So this is the cart. This is Cart Hero, and the share functionality. So on a mobile, you can see there that you can share via email, SMS, and WhatsApp. And on the right side is what you would see basically if you're on a desktop. On desktops, only the limitation is that you only can share by email at the moment. In the future, what I'm planning to do is share by Facebook as well. It will there require a little bit more of a workaround to get to that, but it's on the list to be done.
Nice. And this checkout process, you get free shipping when ordering. So just another $15 and you get free shipping. I mean, Liquid's super cool for that.
That's a system calculation that calculates exactly how much you have in your cart, and you can estimate. You can put let's say a workaround of pictures of numbers. I would say that, let's say you want a person to spend $50 or $100 or £100 in order to qualify for something, and basically you can say that there's about like £100. Well, I mean, sorry, there's 50 remaining to reach that specified amount. And once you do that, then it's going to show you a positive message that you can include there. For example, a discount code or an offer, basically, or basically if you have any already things that happen in the background. For example, on our sites here, we offer free shipping over £35. So as soon as the person hits the 35 pounds threshold, there automatically the free shipping option is available for a checkout.
Nice. I'm in Canada, so it's a medical marijuana site. What I wanted to show though is what I had to do here. This is all jQuery. I wasn't able to do this at the time with Liquid, right? Add 3 more grams to receive, a $5 multi-gram discount. So if I bump this up to 5, now you qualify for a $5 multi-gram discount. Add 2 more grams to reach the next level. But there's a level of Liquid in this, but there's a lot of jQuery in this. So to be able to come back to this customer and do it with a plugin and B with Liquid Markup is to me super, just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It does make a difference in reality. Let's say if you have that kind of offer there, you actually boosting your site sales by pushing the user to get the better or more for a little extra only, and basically making a difference of a higher purchase rate there for your client.
Nice.
If you that feature there that you've seen the messages there, that's the cart message within the cart admin. One of the newest things that I did there the past 2 weeks was the cart identifier. It's one of the most required things I've seen by the community and some people. This is the one here. So basically you can create a cart identifier where you can choose a product, create a description, and basically on the cart checkout, you can basically show that message that referring to the product that is within the cart. So basically you can make cross sales there, showing that the product is compatible with something else. And in that case there, for example, I put that the flashes are a great match to go with the Mackenzie cube, for example. But you can insert there hyperlinks, images, or anything within that content there to fancy up a lot of other.
Well, that's and to me that looks like it's product specific too. So you can provide a product specific message. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. I want to make sure we get time to cover this. Daniel, if you don't mind, you were talking earlier about something you're working on, and it's not ready for prime time, and you're not 100% sure you're going to be able to achieve it. But what you were talking about was combining the shopping cart and the checkout page into one page. And to me, that's probably one of the next best things we could do for conversion. Instead of having to have someone move from a cart to a checkout and you lose them in those cases. Would you mind just speaking a bit about what you're working on and what you hope to be able to accomplish?
Yeah, Dave, can I share my screen?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to, I guess I have to stop sharing. Go ahead, give it a go.
Can everyone see my screen here? I'm not sure which screen you can see. Um, can everyone see a screen with Iconic on it?
Just give me a sec here. I'm just watching the Facebook Live here, and
I see that.
yeah, you're good. You're good, man.
So you can see, a website with the Iconic at the top. So I've got a project that I'm doing with my wife and another partner that we're doing, another partner that we've got. And so it's a project for myself. So it's time to, crack out the big guns and kind of like do all the things you wouldn't do for for someone else, for fear of either, not being able to pull it off or things of the sort. So it's a good, it's a good time to test those things you want. So a short while ago, I found this site here called The Iconic. It's an Australian site. And as you'll be able to see here, they've got a checkout or a cart, delivery and payment all in one page. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to replicate that using BC. Now I found that we could stick products on the checkout in BC. So after I found out that, I was sure that we should be able to kind of do stuff. So using Liquid and a bit of Ajax and, JS, the plan is that we create this frictionless shopping cart payment. So basically, you'll see on the site here, here's the site. I've got a bag up the top here. I go to the bag, which is a shopping cart, but everything's already in there ready to go. So I can pretty much type in my details, credit card details, and hit the place order, and we're done. There's no more pages to go to. We try and remember all the information in the delivery, and just basically trying to be a bit more minimalistic about the checkout and cart, so that we can, so that we're only really getting the user to enter the details that they really need to, not all this extra stuff. So we're just trying to make the checkout have as little friction as we possibly can.
I like the way you call that frictionless. I like that description of it. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
So as you can see here, this is our version of it. This is just in Adobe XD, if anyone's been using that. I did this for this project once again because it's a good opportunity for me to test it out. Some of the features that have come through in XD in the last short while are actually kind of fixed a whole heap of things that lots of people would have wanted. So except for this section down the bottom here, we have a subscription model in this site that we've got here. The subscription comes into here. We've got delivery and payment. The reason why we've got delivery is there'll be products as well for this particular one. So we can see the bag and the checkout here. So on a mobile screen, basically we're dividing the screen up into 3 bits. So on a mobile, once again, it's just one page. You just scroll down. On the delivery side of it, if they're not logged in, then basically all we do is show this section here inside the cart itself. They sign in with Facebook. We're trying to get them to do that. And then the rest of the cart will just turn up like so. So they never leave this page.
Nice.
They come here and they check out and they're done. There's no more buttons for them to push, no more things. The only button they've got to push is the big one that says join the movement or buy now. Buy now.
Sign here, press hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Also taken off the footer off this one here. They've got a back button, which on the shopping one would be a continue shopping. Facts up the top right hand corner. A few things that obviously are required by the merchants and stuff like that there. So on the Australian site, you click on here and you actually get redirected to another page. What I want to happen here is they click on facts and we'll serve up in a modal or an iframe, or in a modal, probably the facts page. So once again, they can click outside there. They've never left that shopping cart. They can do everything from inside this here to purchase it. I've also got one of the things that we did a tutorial on a while back ago, which is what Dave was talking about, which actually is not in here. I have to find it. But basically we would, when we've got products in the cart here, underneath this section here, we'd pop up with alternate items that the person could buy, depending on what stuff they have in the cart over here. So it's just basically a way of, trying to cut the clutter, trying to condense things into one place for people to go, rather than having all these different places. One other thing that I've done here is also to this sign up screen here, this registration. It's actually just a modal over top of the checkout page. So what I want them to do is I want them to sign in using Facebook and then come straight to the checkout. So it's one page refresh and everything's on this page. So now when they go be inspired, they come straight to the payment page and they're gone. But there's no page refreshes, there's nothing. It's seamless. We're just trying to get rid of as much friction as we possibly can to get that person
Nice.
out the door. And I know someone that uses the Australian site and they say it's quite dangerous. On the Australian one, they're actually allowed to store the credit card details, which would be nice. I know, it's fraught with all sorts of other things and you'd have to be fairly big before you wanted to go there, and all sorts of insurance and things, I would imagine. But for that site, with that there in mind, they come in, they're logged in using the likes of Facebook. They come in here, basically they only have to press the big button and that's it. They don't have to do anything else. The cart's taken care of, like Ricardo says. We determine how much stuff's in their cart, whether or not they're getting free shipping or not. And basically any job that can be done programmatically, do that inside the cart. So that person, their sole job is to press the big button that says buy now. And that's pretty much it. So we've got a few things we've got to work on, but we're getting close to being able to do this in BC.
This idea would actually be something quite futuristic to be implemented into applications like a mobile Apple Pay, for example, where you can see all your entire order and press one single button to confirm the order and process it even quicker. That's a great alternative there. I would say, like, rather than stepping to the next pages and confirming more stuff, we basically just one page, you see everything and confirming there. That's it. Order placed.
Yeah. I saw something on Digital Marketer. Lots of you will probably know who that is, but and they said they had a heat map of like the checkout page, and pretty much if there's a button on it, people will click it. So that's the reason why we're trying to get rid of rid of all these buttons on here. I've taken lots of the buttons out. They've got a back button, a fax button. That's pretty much everything they need, but nothing they don't, and everything they can click on, they can will do something, but it tries to stay on this page. Whereas we leave all these other buttons on the page, and people they're not sure about whether or not they're going to buy or not going to buy, and they tootle around and they press something, and next thing you know, they've been diverted to another page. And when they've been diverted to another page because they were procrastinating, we're trying to make sure they procrastinate on this page. Nice. Pretty much, because I've done it before myself,
Sure. Have you, I see you got them logging in with Facebook there. Have you actually got that working through BC?
We have got it working through BC. Bit of a trick. There's actually a lot more to it. One button can be slightly tricky. We didn't quite realize the impact that it would actually have. So with the Facebook button to check in, it's pretty easy. What BC does is BC just logs you in, and you can choose which secure zone you want to be logged into. We have a bit of a conundrum with the subscription. And with creating a subscription, we want this to all be on one page again. So what we've done is we've put the subscription in as a product. And then from there, that actually, you can add a subscription to that product. Now, what we do is we then, it's a bit of a trick, but sorry, I'll get back to Facebook. So with Facebook, when they log in, you can log them into a specific secure zone. But what if they don't have their details or don't allow their details to be seen by Facebook? And that's probably one of the big problems, is that people sign up to Facebook with their phone number, not their email address. Bit of a conundrum there. People block their email address from being used. So there is a whole heap of extra stuff that we've had to build into it to try and mitigate some of the problems with that. If they log in and they don't have their email address, we can't see their email address, then we just invite them to sign up with a regular BC subscription. And we also notify them that they can go back and change their settings in Facebook to, allow that to actually happen. But so, yeah, it does. But with that, there's BC's got a standard kind of like login with Facebook thing that you can do. But because of those problems with people signing up with their phone number and with their email address, you actually kind of have to create a custom app for that, or a custom integration for that, because you can't get that information directly out of the BC one. One thing that we also have worked out is that you can have a sign up and a join, a join and a sign in or a login. Now, basically what we end up doing is we just end up doing a sign up every time. So BC, if it's the same person, obviously nothing happens. But it's really hard if you're trying to do a subscription to tell whether or not the person's trying to log in or whether or not they're signing up, because there's a certain amount of information that we can't get from Facebook up front. Right. It's really quite limited what you can get. You can tell whether or not they're going to give you some details, but other than that, you don't really know. And then there's the other problem, is that someone signs up one day and they don't have their Facebook available. So they sign up and then they come back with a different email address that they've got on Facebook to the one that they signed up with before. And now all of a sudden they've got two accounts with us. So,
this describes a lot of what I was thinking. I run into some similar issues, and I just wondered if things have changed, and it sounds like no, they haven't. They're still a pain in the butt.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose everyone's going to be dealing with it. I'm not sure whether it's a BC, it's just what you can get from Facebook. So people must be dealing with that, as much as possible. But we're also using the find out whether or not a person, we're using some liquid to find out whether or not people are already a member, so that when they come in, if they're already a member, then we do something different than if they're not already a member and sign up. So basically we end up being able to use the same sign up in Facebook for a multiple job, because there's just no way to tell whether or not they're already a member or whether or not they're not. And people, as people click all sorts of buttons. They they'll try and sign up again even when they've already got an account and things like that. So it is fraught with quite a few problems that we've got.
I see Steve asked, and I see Ricardo answered it, but Steve's question was, is there a problem with using liquid tags and legacy BC tags together? Ricardo said no, and he's correct. No, it should just render normally. I will say, as a matter of practice, I personally, I don't mix the two. I'm using liquid, I convert them all to liquid, and for me, it's more of a readability thing or a consistency thing.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I'll just put it that way there. So just basically, I normally make everything running liquid nowadays, but if you're using, I've used it in the past as well, both of them together, nothing conflicted there. But and never really tried to use within a loop of a form. In Liquid, I wouldn't say that it would work or render anything, because the for loop will only render, you know, tags specific to the collection. So
and
I've
include file. Sorry, and include files as well as you start to branch out and use TPL files and include files. You know, depending on where they are in the structure, sometimes the standard BC tags work, sometimes they just don't, right? So
yeah,
like if you start to use TPL files and you start to put them in module template folders as opposed to the layout folders and those kinds of things. So again, personally, I prefer to use all of one or all of the other.
Yeah, definitely. Getting updated with the latest, it's always the best.
For sure. Well, is there any other questions out there? I'm sure we can talk some more if necessary.
Oh my, like it's bad enough on its own without making it worse.
You know, I guess I can appreciate what you're saying, Mike. When you just get started, it can be a bit confusing, and I think for me, the answer was much like Daniel said. You end up with a customer problem, and then you solve it. And you reach out to the community. Daniel and I talk on a relatively regular basis, and as you meet people in the community, it's a real generous community. So I reach out all the time to other partners for help, and just hold my hand up and say, I have no sniff how to do this. Can you help me out? And that's the way forward.
And I'd add to that as well. Like, I think that, you know, it's about research and finding somewhere to finding a start point. Like I say, I said to Dave and Ricardo before, I'm self-taught. I haven't been doing it that long, but basically where I start is I just start by Googling. Like, you know, I've got something I want to do, and I go into the forums and I try and find something as close as possible to what I've got. Or what I need to do. Then I just keep looking, and you know, once you find keywords for certain things, then you'll find other keywords, and then all of a sudden you'll find something that someone's done. Then the next step is probably just trying to think outside the box, really. Like, you know, how can I do this? Can I do it backwards? Can I do it forwards? Can I come in from the side, top, bottom? Like, you know, what is there a possible way that I can cheat this thing? Sometimes we only have to rearrange the structure to be able to take something that someone says that can't be done to making it to be able to be done. So quite often it's got not a lot to do with the code and a lot to do with just the thought process that goes in behind the scenes. And then there's the developer forum, and I get quite good feedback from the developer forum. People are, like Dave said, people are generous. You know, they'll come on and you have sometimes the only thing that's holding you back is one silly little problem that you can't get, you know, like don't spend 3 weeks trying to figure this thing out when someone else can go, oh, I've done this before, sort of thing, you know, like it really is. People like to help. You know, if I understand a question, then I'll try and help in the developer forum too, if I can.
As well, yeah. Mike, you know, you're absolutely right. It's not a developer backend language. It is an end user safe scripting tool. It is just significantly better than what we have ever had for Business Catalyst. We like Business Catalyst as a platform, and this has extended it in a way that allows us to deliver what our customers are asking for without having to go to ASP.NET and an MVC type framework. That said, I mean, I'm currently exploring using Angular with Business Catalyst, and so far not so bad. So it's an extension of what we had, and I think that's kind of why we like it. Is it for everybody? Well, you know, that's up to you.
Liquid was also sort of an addition to the core functionalities of BC. It's actually play a very good part nowadays for everything. But like Daniel said there, when you need something done, you go out and search for a solution. But basically, Liquid seems to be quite a good bridge for connecting all these languages that you combine and output your applications or your functionalities through your website. So basically, JavaScript is quite a main language there, connecting with Liquid, and the rest it can come out of your own imagination and creativity. You know, once you have your plan made and you want something to happen, believe me, I came across many puzzles to work with BC, and I came across the solutions. You know, inevitably, you know, it comes one day or another. You're sleeping, you dream about it, maybe. So it comes up. You know, you combine Liquid with JavaScript and CSS, and there's, like David said, there are Angular as well. Take a look at Angular. Angular can do some amazing stuff as well. There's Polymer. You know, there's Vue, there's Mustache, there's a whole lot of, you know, applications there. They can combine things using Ajax and create an amazing experience, you know, for each project.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, Business Catalyst is largely, in my opinion, a front-end developer's platform. It is not a back-end developer's platform. I mean, if you need that, then sure, go do your ASP.NET and set up a whole SQL database with your own servers and your own server farm and all the rest of that. And certainly some folks are in fact, even doing that and connecting that into Business Catalyst. But largely, it is a front-end developer's platform, or even, you want to go a little bit further, like a graphic designer or a web designer's platform, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I'd say the same thing, Dave. Like, I think that there has to be a change in mindset a little bit if you come from a background where you're using ASP and PHP and all the rest of it, C++, and like, it is a front end tool, but it allows people to do things a whole lot quicker and a whole lot more cost effective than they would if they were to start from scratch. For instance, the new venture that We Are Women that we're going into, BC is a great platform for this because it's for a relatively low cost. It's got everything that we need in it to start with. By all means, if we hit the jackpot and we become rich and famous and all the rest of it, then we'll be moving. Like, we won't stay on BC. We would move to a custom solution. But for businesses starting up, that don't have huge budgets, this BC is a great player, and some of the other ones out there are great platforms to use. So it's a change in mindset to think that, okay, PHP and ASP, that they allow us to do anything we want, but with that comes a whole lot more development time and other problems and other things that you have to work out what to do. Whereas with BC, you're just plugging and playing with existing stuff that's already there. Whereas if we start custom, the costs go from 10, 20 to 200, 2 million, like, it really does. So
I had an actual customer. Sorry, I was going to say, I had an actual customer that they sell charms, and their site was originally $10,000. They got big enough where they needed to move beyond that, and looking at a Magento site was $50,000. That's a big jump from 10,000 to 50,000. And transactionally, I mean, it wasn't like they were doing 500 times as much. They were just doing a fair bit, like 100,000 a year or something. It wasn't that. They were moving up, certainly, but I mean, that's a big jump. That's not just 50% more. That's 500% more.
My hope is that BC can kind of grow with us a bit. I am looking to also, we've got a new app in store, which is for connecting BC to other apps, brought out by CBO. And I'm going to, with another developer that we know, is look at bringing out one for Microsoft Flow. So for those that use Office 365, like I do, basically for a fairly small price point, you've got everything in one. I pay 16 New Zealand dollars a month, get a terabyte of hard drive space on OneDrive, all the Word and Excel and all the rest of it that comes with it, and to be able to connect that into those other apps using the likes of Flow or Zapier or stuff like that is really what will extend and take BC out of the box. So if BC can open the platform up and give us access to the rest of those things, then the world, the world is your oyster, and then we can start, you know, BC's email program's not that, you know, it's not that great, but if we can start to connect using Zapier and stuff like that to outside applications, we can start integrating with MailChimp and all the rest of the things much easier. And as people, you know, add these apps to these things, then we can start moving from there. So I really think that it's just about BC opening the rest of the platform up, is what would give BC the boost that it needs to continue on, because if they don't, I'm not sure where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I will say we're just over the normal time where we would end the session. So I do want to give a quick thank you to Daniel and Ricardo for coming on as panelists and answering questions as they came up. I'm fine to stay a bit longer, but I'm going to turn off the live stream now and the recording. And I did want to also say, Mike had asked much earlier in the chat there, he has a lot of things he'd like to request from Adobe and BC, and is there a way for him to proxy through the BCG attendees and such? I guess I would say that's been done in the past, and generally speaking, that's not the way to get your voice heard. Probably the most direct method, Mike, is to find Magda's email and just email her with what you have in mind. But as a community, we found at this particular point in time, they are traveling their own way and letting us know which way they're going. They're not as receptive to suggestions and feedback as they once were. Hopefully that'll change in the future. As Daniel says, it needs to, I think, but for now, that's where things are at. So again, thanks very much to Daniel and Ricardo, and stay around if you want to chat some more. But.
Thanks for having us, Dave.